Could I get everyone's attention, please? Maybe we could move together a little bit. We have a short presentation, so if I could ask it to be quiet just for a few minutes. If I could get everyone's attention, please. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all giving us a couple of minutes of quiet time. Thank you, everyone, and good morning, and welcome to the exciting ribbon cutting, dedication, and unveiling of the 19th historic mural right here in Ashland. How fitting that it's Mother's Day weekend that we dedicate the Women of Ashland mural with portraits of 32 women of Ashland on the Vaughan Avenue side of the Moores Army Navy building with our amazing artist, Sue Prentice Martinson. Let's applaud the Women of Ashland mural. Well, let's get the excitement going. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm welcome for the president of the Ashland Mural Board, Lynn Adams.
Thank you, Mary Beth. I am so honored to work with the wonderful, hardworking volunteers of the Ashland Mural Walk Board and our very talented artist, Sue Martinson. These volunteers do the hard work of overseeing the now 19 murals of Ashland. I would like to introduce the committee to you now. So board members, please come on up. You can recognize them because they're wearing the blue shirts today. Okay, we have Mary Beth Monroe. We have Cheryl Drevlo, Pete Mann, Ann Wickman, Kathy Schutte, and Mary McFedrich are members of the board that they work so hard to make all these murals happen, and we meet regularly, and thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. And being president of the Mural Board is more than you can imagine. Lynn does so much for us, and we thank her. And she didn't introduce herself. Lynn Adams. Well, we have a few speakers that are very excited about speaking here today. As you all know, or maybe you don't know, Ashland is the historic mural capital of the entire state of Wisconsin. So ladies and gentlemen, to say a few words on behalf of the state, please join me in welcoming Representative Beth Myers.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know who ordered this weather, but I want to say thank you very much. What a great day to be outside in Ashland and to recognize another one of the beautiful murals that has shown up on the streets of Ashland. We want to thank Sue for her dedication to these and her ability to capture people, the faces, and we can just look at this and think about the history, the stories that are behind all of those faces, and to think it started with the background of the quilt. How ingenious is that? As the state representative, I'm proud to be here with you today, and I am also here to tell you that Janet Bewley, Senator Bewley, wishes she could be with you. Unfortunately, she's in the southern part of her very large district. But a turnout like this on a Saturday morning is remarkable. You can tell that you're so excited to see your family members be illustrated on this very large wall and to reminisce about the stories and the women that are up there. It's a perfect weekend to do this on Mother's Day. Thank you all for being here. I'm honored to represent you.
Thank you, Representative Myers. And of course, we are right here in Ashland with our 19th historic mural, and I know that she's very proud. Join me in a welcome for the mayor of the city of Ashland, Deb Lewis.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Welcome, everyone. It's a privilege to be part of this dedication, and it's especially fitting that we're doing this on day one of the Creative Economy Week in the state of Wisconsin. What is Creative Economy Week, you might ask? It's a week to celebrate the arts and the contribution that the arts make to our communities. So this is really something that Ashland has become known for. We hosted this week a large group of visitors representing family court commissioners from all over the state. And at the conference, a couple of them came up and said, "Boy, you guys really have a lot of murals in your town, don't you?" And we said, "Yes." And he said, "I really like your murals." And so the murals are something that does draw tourism to our area. We have bus tours who come and they go around and they look at the tours. We have the Follow the Mural Brick Road, which people have fun going around and discovering our community through the murals. So in addition to that, we know that murals bring a vibrancy to our community. They bring a social connectedness. People come together to talk about what's on the murals. And especially this one, I think it's so exciting to see these faces. Many of these people I know, have met. Many of them I have heard of, but they all have a story. And it's wonderful that because their faces are here, their stories are now going to be kept alive through the retelling of them. I want to thank especially Sue Martinson, wherever you are, for sharing your talents with us. A beautiful job. Thank you so much. And I'm especially proud of the fact that we do one thing really well here, and that is we preserve our history, and we're proud of our history, and we like to tell our stories. And so this will give us another opportunity to do that. And so I congratulate the community, and I hope that we can learn more about these women and understand the contribution that they have made to our story here in Ashland. Thank you, and have a wonderful Mother's Day and a great weekend.
Thank you, Mayor Lewis. Well, it's all about the powerful, loved women of Ashland on this 19th mural. So without further ado, let's talk about these women. Let's do the unveiling. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in an artistic, creative welcome for our artist, Sue Prentice Martinson.
That would be the short Sue Martinson, so I have to stand on a little pedestal. Thank you so much for coming and Stories Alive. And because of that, I'm always selling something. And so I want to let you know that there has been some talk about a second women's mural. If that is something that you would be interested in, there's a form on the table. You can sign your name, your phone number, and your email address. It doesn't mean that you're committed to anything. It just means that if we go forward with a second mural, we will contact you first, and you'll be able to have first option. The second thing that I'm selling, of course, is our next mural, which is the DePadua mural. And it is a mural that is dedicated to the parochial school system in Ashland and will also contain some portraits. 2 of the buildings have been sold, and 16 out of the 20 portraits have been sold. So if you're interested in purchasing a portrait or making a donation toward a building, there's information about that on the table. Like I said, I'm not ashamed to sell. I have a few other things that I want to do. The first thing is I want to thank the Moore family for allowing this mural to be placed on their building. We appreciate it. It's a premier spot for the premier mural, and we do appreciate the Moores. Thank you. The second thing I want to do is to thank Ed Monroe. He is videoing this. We had many requests from family members who were not able to be here, and therefore Ed was volunteered by his wife that he would videotape this, and next week I believe it will be available on the chamber website, visitashland.com. So you can let your friends and relatives know that it'll be on there. Another thing I'd like to do is to thank the Ashland Museum. I really consider them to be a partner of the Ashland Mural Walk. If it weren't for their help and their archives and their historical documents and their advice and counsel, I would not be able to find or do much of the research that I do. And I encourage you to stop in their new building if you haven't seen it. It's over across from the courthouse. I want to let you know that after the ceremony, this brochure will be available on the tables. We're not making them available right now because, as you can see, there are 3 people who are going to be surprised. If we had let these out, it would have let the cat out of the bag. Please help yourself to as many of those brochures as you like. There will be a ribbon cutting, but before that, I'm going to invite you all to come up and stand under your family members so you can have your picture taken. That's the end of my administrative part. Now to talk a little bit about the murals. As an artist, how do you go about designing a mural? Well, if it's going to be a railroad mural, that's kind of easy. It tells you what to do. You get a bunch of men who worked on the railroad. You make sure that they're in their railroad working uniforms and stick them in front of a couple of engines that they actually worked on. If it's a lumberjack mural, again, that's an easy decision to make. You have them dressed as lumberjacks and they stand with their tools that they use. If it's a waitress mural, they're standing in front of the places where they worked and they have on waitress uniforms. But how in the world do you do a mural about 32 different women? Every single one of these women, as they were sponsored by loved ones, and as their stories came in, each person submitted a few lines about the history. As their stories came in, it's just amazing. They come from all walks of life. They come from all different times in history in Ashland. They contributed in so many different ways. I can't just line them up, dress them all the same, and put them in front of something. And so as I began to think about this, as Deb mentioned, or Beth, I can't remember, the idea of a quilt came to me. Because what is a quilt? A quilt is something that a woman takes and uses all the scraps and the leftovers and the worn out house dresses and tablecloths, and she cuts bits and pieces of that and sews it together and makes something new, something that's useful, something that can be handed down. To me, that's what these women did. They took the bits and pieces of their lives. They all are different. They all had different capabilities, yet they took what life handed them. They sewed it together and they made their families' lives better and they made this community better. Therefore, I chose a background of a quilt. This quilt is a replica of Dr. Dodd's family's quilt. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Dodd served this community back in the 1880s and up into the 1950s and so on. The actual quilt is on one of the tables. Starting at the bottom left, Jane Breading. Jane and her husband owned C.J. Breading Manufacturing Company. After his death in 1904, Jane assumed presidency, overseeing hundreds of men who manufactured equipment for the sawmill, mining, and shipping industries. Jane continued to raise her 3 sons during the 25 years that she ran the company, which still exists today. Second, Lorraine Contney. Lorraine was a homemaker, manager of Campbell's Clothes and Things, and oddly enough, worked at the Army-Navy store. And here she is. Teresa Ann Miseracco. Thank you. I practiced it all morning and I still don't get it right. Sander. She was the first in her family to graduate high school. She worked a year to earn $10 fee to enter St. Joseph Nursing Academy, where she became a committed nurse. She bought the house next to the hospital so she could raise her children and be available for her patients. She probably delivered more babies than the doctors. Okay, and some of us who are getting older Skip people. I'm so sorry. My apologies. Ann Yachnich is number 3 in the beautiful red dress with the lace collar. Ann owned and operated a farm in Mason and the Johnson Flower Shop for over 30 years. And she was an avid bowler. My apologies to her family for skipping her. Our first reveal is a person who works and volunteers for the Ashland Chamber and the business community. She was Person of the Year in 2015 and is an enthusiastic volunteer. You people have no idea how hard it was to keep this a secret. This woman's on our board of directors. Ed came to me at the very beginning and says, I want to buy Mary Beth, but I don't want her to know. Oops. Mary Beth. Our number 6 person is Nora Erickson. Nora is a homemaker, a nurse's aide at Trinity Hospital, the past chief and life member of the Pythian Sisters. She was a member of the Saron Lutheran Church since its inception, and she was the past president of the PTA. I also know she loved to fish. Our next surprise. Well, I wanted to make sure it would stay on there. If you grab it from the bottom, the bottom piece, and just pull up, it should work. There you go.
Don't pull the paint off.
This is Shirley Westman Grand. Shirley was married to Dr. Clifford Grand, and worked as his office nurse until his death. Her passion became working for the Bloodmobile, and she initiated its first stop in the area. She was also owner of Karen's Clothing and the Uniform Shop. Our next lovely lady is Alice McCarthy. Alice raised 2 sons on her own, running the family business called McCarthy Coal Company in a time when women did not run coal companies. Our next lady is Marion Bishop Rostolin, legal secretary, court reporter, president and leader of the Girl Scouts, manager of the Ashland County Building and Loan Association. She was active in social and civic affairs. Helen O'Brien, Nelson Bloss, raised 5 children by herself on a bank teller's salary at the Northern State Bank. She was a lifetime resident of Ashland. Grace Weir Smiles traveled alone from Pennsylvania in 1910 to take a job at Northland College. She taught speech, drama, and women's physical education. Dr. C.J. Smiles followed her from Pennsylvania, and they married on the Northland College campus. Grace died in 1921 during the birth of her 3rd child. Louise Schubat taught elementary school in the Ashland area for over 40 years, retiring from the Ellis School. She was a graduate of the Ashland County Normal School and Superior State. Nellie E. Hefner joined the Northwest Community Action Agency and received a certification as counselor of alcohol and drug addiction. She served as Director of Aging for Ashland County. She was an RSVP volunteer, established and served on many boards serving the elderly population. Madeline H. Garnish, founding member of the Monday Club, which I do believe the Monday Club is in Ashland, is the oldest one in Wisconsin. She was a member of the American Association of University Women an active member of the Presbyterian Congregational Church, and she is the best grandmother in the world. Frances Wallen Sharon, who I am sorry to say passed away this year. We were hoping she'd be able to be with us, but she did pass away. She was the last charter member of the auxiliary to the VFW Post 690. Thank you for your patience. She held many offices with that post. She marched in many of the 4th of July parades handing out flags. She volunteered for the RSVP. She sang in her church choir and played in the kitchen band at the local nursing homes. Carolyn, and appropriately nicknamed Care Sandin, was married to Dr. Howard V. Sandin. She was a civic leader for 45 years, helped found the League of Women Voters, served as president, elected to the local school board, served 21 years, many as president, elected to Ashland County Board and served on the Ashland City Council, Ashland Woman of the Year 1979, Outstanding Citizen 1984, appointed to the Board of Regents to the University of Wisconsin. Coming up to the top row, again leading left to right, Susan Prentice Martinson, Ashland native, wife, mother, grandmother of 7, and mural artist. I have to say, I did not want to be on the mural. Seriously, I thought it was really egotistical, but the Rotary Club bought me. Number one, I never turned down money. And number two, it was an honor for me for them to buy me because the Rotary Club, when Kelly, my colleague, and I decided that we would step out and start the Mural Walk project, the Ashland Rotary was the very first organization who donated $50 to us. And because they donated money, many others also did. Following along, we have Evelyn Lutz DeRocher. She was an art supervisor, art teacher at Ashland High School. For 35 years, she influenced scores of students, instilling in them a love and appreciation for art. Mural Kate, one of the founders of the League of Women Voters, an early women's city council member. She helped start the MMC thrift shop. Irene Carlson, homemaker, mother of 3, and grandmother of 9. She was a great cook and baker. She knitted hats and mittens for the children and is always the first to respond. When someone was in need, she'd bring food. Our last surprise.
I looked over the crowd and he was the tallest. I'm like, who did get this? Come on, Stan. Oh, you got it! Oh!
Marianne.
You need one more piece of tape.
Think about those pictures we should
Mary Ann Stenman Van Black. Mary Ann came from a strong Finnish lineage. At age 14, she worked as a mother's helper, then worked as a waitress, bartender, and cook, often 2 jobs at once. She worked at the Rocket Cafe, Bay Theater, Monk's Bowling Alley, the Moose Lodge, and was the owner of the famous Mary Ann's Club 13. Mary Ann, believe it or not, is still feeding students at Northland College. Thank you, volunteers. Helen K. Hansen, charter member and worked for 47 years as an employee of the Northern State Bank. The first in her family to graduate from college in 1923. She was an election poll worker, active member in her church, a homemaker, and a devoted mother. Marion Lindstrom lived her entire life in Ashland, valedictorian of the 1929 Ashland High School graduation class. She was legal secretary for G. Arthur Johnson, worked at Northern State Bank, lifetime member of the Presbyterian Congregational Church, and second mother to John and Jim Scherfinski. Marjorie Lockhart lived in Ashland and Odena her entire life, graduated from Ashland High School and Lawrence College. She worked as a teacher, a school principal, a caseworker, and owner-manager of a general store in Odena. She was part of the Civil Patrol in World War II, Salvation Army, the Red Cross, and served on the Ashland City Council. She was also an accomplished poet. Patricia Ortman, married to Thomas L. Ortman, mother of 5 children, worked at Munsingware and Northland College, active in the local and state Democratic Party, as well as the League of Women Voters, and several organizations and boards. She served on the Ashland School Board of Education for 21 distinguished years, and I promised her daughter in Washington, D.C. I would tell the story that she was at a board meeting early on before many women served, and one of the members asked her why she wasn't home making dinner for her family. And she replied, "My husband is home making dinner." I love you, Pat. Astrid Berthew. What can you say about Astrid Berthew? She was our beloved Ashland High School English teacher and known for her infamous humor. I can't even begin to tell all the stories. Ann Pirro raised 6 children, renowned caterer and cook. She cooked at Court Manor for over 25 years, president of the BPO Does, involved in church fundraisers and civic events. She was a golfer and bowler, had an infectious smile, and never said no when asked for help. She worked side by side with Len at the Menard Hotel, Totem Bowl, Elks Club, and Piro's Bar and Restaurant. Joyce Pren Clark, co-founder of the Ashland-Bayfield County League of Women Voters, Ashland School Board member, co-founder of the H&M Dance Club, enjoyed golf, bridge, and baking. Clarice L. Lewandowski was a furrier and a seamstress for the women of Ashland. She was a teacher at the vocational school and one of the founding families of the Polish Holy Family Church. Additionally, when things were tough in the Depression, I was told that she made the best donuts in town, and she would send her children out early in the morning selling donuts door to door and became known as the Polish Donut Lady. Ruth A. Campbell lived her whole life in Ashland and was the very first travel agent in the travel agency owned by Dr. A.E. Sell, which was located in the Medical Arts Building. Maud M. Campbell was Ruth's mother and lived in Ashland between 1926 and 1942 and was a depot agent at the Sioux Line Depot. And last, but certainly not least, Grace Sexton, our beloved popcorn lady. Grace rescued an antique popcorn wagon on Madeline Island, worked to have it restored, after which she sold popcorn on the corner of Main Street and 4th Avenue. She sold only the highest quality popcorn. Grace did everything with a warm smile. And as I look out on this crowd, and as I spent yesterday putting this up and kind of watched you this morning, I am impressed again about the concept of a quilt. Because here, all of what these women did, the bits and pieces of their lives have come together again. As you, their family, their friends, have come from all across the country and added just a little bit to this program. and are binding up a new quilt, if you will, in their honor. And I thank you very much for attending. We're going to move on to our ribbon cutting ceremony. What do I want to do? All of the family members, we would like to have you, if you are able, to come up and stand under the mural for the ribbon cutting. Gary Lapine, where is he?
We will do that.
We're going to get family pictures. Mary Beth, you need to go in front of yours as well. Okay, everybody family? Is family all in front? All right, let's get a couple of those. Does any of the family want other people to take pictures? Do you have an extra camera? Do you have any volunteers out there that can take some pictures for these folks? Come on up. Anybody want a picture? Hand out your camera.
Sue has to be up front. Sue Prentice Martin's in front.
Okay, now are we getting ready? We'll cut the ribbon. Gary and Steve, you can go one end to one end. Mural committee, front and center with the dignitaries. We have, is Representative Myers still here? In the cute pink coat, okay. And Mayor Deb, come on up. Sue Martinson will hold the scissors.
I've been here